feasibility study, the city of Balikpapan was finally determined to be the perfect location for the plant. Welcome to Institut Teknologi Kalimantan. Welcome to Institut Teknologi Kalimantan, a science and technology-driven university with a regional and global focus. Founded in 2012, Institut Teknologi Kalimantan, or ITK, was a part of the Indonesia government's plan to establish more state institute of technology outside of Java Island. With a long consideration and the results of the feasibility study, the city Welcome to Institut Teknologi Kalimantan, a science and technology-driven university with a regional and global focus. Founded in 2012, Institut Teknologi Kalimantan, or ITK, was a part of the Indonesia government's plan to establish more state institute of technology outside of Java Island. With a long consideration and the results of the feasibility study, the city of Balikpapan was finally determined to be the perfect location for the plant, as it's known as one of the substantial gateways to Kalimantan. In 2014, ITK was finally inaugurated by the 6th President of Indonesia, with its first rector, Professor Dr. Insinyur Sulistiano, DEA.
The existence of Institut Teknologi Kalimantan, or ITK, as an educational institution in eastern side of Indonesia is intended to prepare qualified human resources to face the master plan for acceleration and expansion of Indonesia's economic development. On the way to becoming a world-class university, ITK always expands in study program, learning system, facilities, and other support in the learning process.
Being the first state institute of technology in Kalimantan, ITK strives to become a superior university and to have an active role in national development through empowering potentials of Kalimantan region by 2025. To fulfill the bright vision, ITK continues to grow with 3 main missions. ITK now has 21 bachelor programs with respective scientific fields, including mathematics, informatics, information systems, actuarial science, statistics, digital business, physics, naval architecture, ocean engineering, food technology, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, chemical engineering, industrial engineering, safety engineering, logistic engineering, civil engineering, urban and regional planning, architecture, environmental engineering, and materials and metallurgical engineering. Along with the expansion of study programs, ITK keeps advancing various laboratories with modern technology equipment to support student competencies and skills. Various types of areas and spaces are also available for students to learn together, to work on projects, or to deliver presentations. To evolve in the midst of a rapidly growing digitalization era, ITK provides many ways for students to reach knowledge, both online and offline. ITK also makes it easier for students to take care of educational administration with a lot of information in one app. Not only supporting the advancements of research and technology, ITK also encourages students to express themselves creatively. ITK has various student activity units which support student development from arts to entrepreneurship. By supporting the balance between knowledge and creativity, it will empower the maximum potential of the student. It is marked by the achievements that lead ITK to gain national and international recognition. ITK always believes that learning is no longer sitting in one place, but here and anywhere beyond collaborations. ITK supports Kampus Merdeka, a program initiated by the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology of Indonesia. Besides the student exchange programs, ITK has established certified internship programs with various corporate objectives, both state-owned and private companies.
Hafiz Dzarfan Othman from Universiti Teknologi Malaysia, Associate Professor Dr. Mukhlis Rahman from Universiti Teknologi Malaysia, Dr. Deavaraj Veerasamy from Suraj Mahir Consultancy Malaysia, and Mr. Bias Hilal Saga PT Kurita Indonesia. All of the invited guests from the officials of Institut Teknologi Kalimantan, lecturers, researchers, colleagues, students from various institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world-class Professor Meeting Series, Synergy on Research Collaboration between Universities and Industries. My name is Gusti Mindia Nurtajala, and of course, it is my pleasure to be a master ceremony in a beautiful day. Now, on behalf on the world-class Professor Meeting Series Committee, who organized this event perfectly, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. We appreciate you taking the time of your busy schedule to join us today. I will deliver the rundown for today. First is opening. Second, event reporting from the chairman of the WCP Meeting Series, Dr. Muhammad Purwanto. Third, opening speech from Vice Rector of ITK, Nurul Widyastuti, PhD. Fourth, the main session of today is speech and discussion session. And the last is closing. Before we continue the main agenda, it is common in our culture to show our gratitude to the one and only God, and hope this webinar will run smoothly and accordingly. We started with pray in our deep heart. Time for pray is pleased. Thank you. The second agenda is event reporting from the chairman of the world-class Professor Meeting Series, Dr. Muhammad Purwanto. The screen and time are yours.
Terima kasih, Mbak Lala. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon and greetings, respectable the Rector of Institut Teknologi Kalimantan, Professor Budi Santosa, PhD, Excellencies, the Vice Rector of Academic Affairs of Institut Teknologi Kalimantan, Ibu Nurul Widyastuti, PhD, Excellencies, the Vice Rector of Non-Academic Affairs of Institut Teknologi Kalimantan, Bapak Dr. Muhammad Mashuri, honorable speakers, Associate Professor Dr. Juhana Jaafar from Universiti Teknologi Malaysia, and then Professor Muhammad Hafiz Dzarfan Othman, Director of Amtek, Universiti Teknologi Malaysia, Associate Professor Dr. Mukhlis Rahman from Universiti Teknologi Malaysia, Dr. Deavaraj Veerasamy, Suraj Mahir Consultancy Malaysia, and then Mr. Hilal Saga, ST from PT Kurita Indonesia, and all of the participants, researchers, and students from various institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast Professor Meeting Series. Beforehand, I would like to explain about the WCP or Podcast Professor Meeting Series. The WCP is a future program issued by the Indonesian Ministry of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology. Through this program, they encourage the Indonesian lecturers to enhance their competencies and contribution in the development of education, research, and innovation by inviting world-class professors in a period. Just for information that Institut Teknologi Kalimantan or ITK is a university that was founded in 2014. I think this is an opportunity for us to build a strategy for research development and any collaboration with industry and any institution. I believe that today we will already receive useful knowledge and discussion on the webinar with the theme Synergy of Research Collaboration between Universities and Industries. In this webinar, we will learn about strategy for building a research group and how to collaborate with industry. Okay, once again on behalf on the committee, we thanks all the speakers who have been willing to convey this important topic in webinar series. Thank you. I think enough. Meeting Hadley, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Bapak Purwanto, for delivering your report. So, and now, to formally kick off our event, it is my honor to invite the Vice Rector of Institut Teknologi Kalimantan, Ibu Nurul Widyastuti, PhD, to deliver a remark. So please welcome Dr. Nurul Widyastuti.
Thank you, Lala. Honorable Speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Juhana Jaafar, Professor Muhammad Hafiz, Dzarfan, Associate Professor Dr. Mukhlis, Associate Dr. Deavaraj, Veerasamy, and Mr. Hilal Saga from Kurita, Indonesia. Head of Institute for Research and Community Services, Dr. Purwanto, and distinguished academic member of Institut Teknologi Kalimantan. Very good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Give me great pleasure to welcome you all in the World Class Professor Meeting Series that today bring up the themes on synergy of research collaborations between university and industry. Today we are discussing significant milestones for closer education and industry for collaborations. And education, innovation, and technology have always been a top agenda from the Indonesian government, which include a substantial increase in research and development resources between education and industry. Hopefully, our visions to develop collaboration between university and industry will increase the quality of education, research, as well as human resources and facilities. Also, our collaboration between ITK and UTM will always bring us benefit for both sides in order to increase the quality of education and research. And last year's ITK has developed a strong foothold in energy, smart city, marine, and food research. And thus the research in ITK will focus on the issues. And besides that, ITK has 20 study program at the moment. 20 is already 20 now, 20 study program. And to the step our collaboration in the education, research, as well as innovation and technology, ITK has actively worked together with other university in Indonesia, as well as other country, industry, and government, including local government in Indonesia. And one of our speakers today is Mr. Hilal Saga from PT Kurita. He's a ITK alumni from Chemical Engineering study program. And we are proud to have him today as a speakers for this event. And finally, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I open the World Class Professor Meeting Series with the theme on synergy of research collaboration between university and industry. Hope all of you enjoy this meeting and have benefit from it. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Dr. Nurul Widyastuti, for delivering your remarks. So before we continue, please we do a photo session first. So all of the participants is expected to open the camera. So I will capture the screen, please. Okay, 1, 2, 3, give a smile. Okay, for the second screen. Okay, thank you so much. Without further ado, I will invite the moderator of today who will lead the speech and discussion session. She is Dr. Musyarofa, or commonly known as Ofa. She is one of the lecturers in Physics Department, Institut Teknologi Kalimantan, who has finished her doctoral degree at Institut Teknologi 10 November, Indonesia, with research interest in advanced ceramic materials. Now, she is taking responsibility as the head international office in Institut Teknologi Kalimantan. So please welcome Ibu Ofa. Time is yours.
Thank you, Bu Lala. Apa suara saya terdengar jelas?
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Thank you all for finding time and visiting this webinar. I'm Musyarofa, and people call me Ofa. Ingat, Ofa, bukan Opa, because in Malaysia, Opa means grandmother, right? And I'm a lecturer in Institut Teknologi Kalimantan and will be your moderator for today's webinar. It's great that we can all meet today to explore the synergy of research collaboration between universities and industries. We hope our knowledge about how to build the synergy, how to make collaboration will be expanded by this meeting. First of all, I would like to greet our speakers at today's webinar. The first one is Associate Professor Dr. Juhana Jaafar. Assalamualaikum, Professor.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Okay, and then the second one is Professor Muhammad Hafiz Dzarfan Othman. Assalamualaikum, Professor.
Assalamualaikum.
And then Associate Professor Dr. Mukhlis Rahman. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning. Assalamualaikum.
Salam. And then Dr. Deavaraj Veerasamy. Good morning, Doctor. Okay. Oh, it's still.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, and then we have Mr. Bias Hilal Saga. Good morning, Mr. Saga. Mr. Saga? Okay, your voice is unclear. Okay, and thank you for all speakers. We appreciate your being with us today. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few items to all participants. Today, we will have 20 minutes presentation for each speakers. And then a question and answer session or Q&A will be held after the all presentation. And then I advise participants to turn off the mic when the speaker presents. And you have the opportunity to submit text questions to our speakers by typing them into the chat box. You may send in your question at any time during the presentation. We will collect this and address them during the Q&A session. And then you are also welcome to ask questions directly during the Q&A session by clicking the raise hand button, and I will let you to turn on your mic on, then deliver your questions. Okay, so it's time for the first presentation. Before that, let me give an introduction about our first presenter, Associate Professor Dr. Juhana. Jaafar graduated with a Bachelor of Engineering on Chemical Engineering from Universiti Teknologi Malaysia in 2004, and then she was then granted with National Science Fellowship under Ministry of Higher Education to pursue her Master of Science in UTM. In 2012, she graduated with a PhD in gas engineering from the same university, specializing in membrane technology for direct methanol fuel cell application. And then Professor Juhana started her academic career in UTM in 2007, right after graduated her magister. Currently, she is the associate professor in the School of Chemical and Energy Engineering in UTM. She is also the Deputy Director of ANTEC, a higher institute, a Center of Excellence rewarded by the Ministry of Education Malaysia. And then her outstanding outputs in research were evident from her receiving distinguished awards at national and international levels, including the Grand Award in Seoul International Invention Fair 2019 and etc. Associate Professor Dr. Juhana is also active in writing for scientific publications in high impact factor in international and national journals. To date, she has published more than 285 papers in IC Index journal with its index of 35 and total citation of more than 4,600. She has received several recognition in national and international level. Recently, she has been rewarded by the Regional Conference Grant 2020 from UNCITNET, and then she holds she holds the co-editorial board member, of Catalyst and Photocatalyst for Frontiers in Chemistry, and she has also been listed in Who's Who in the World for the 33rd edition 2016. And also, until now, she already led 30 research grants and being member of more than 100 research projects that worth more than 15 million ringgit Malaysia. And then in terms of supervision, currently she has 19 PhD and 18 masters, including national and international students. And one of her students, I know, which is Dr. Nazurin. And she is my friend when I was in Japan. Yeah. Okay. Now, without any further ado, let's please welcome our first speaker, Professor Juhana Jaafar. Time is yours.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Dr. Musharrafah for very nice introduction. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Dan thank you very much kepada Chairman of WCP, Pak Pur Wanto, kemudian the Vice Rector, Bu Nurul, Top Management of ITK dan speakers dan juga Bapak Ibu dan juga student. So hari ini dah kali yang keempat, fourth WCP webinar series yang terakhir insyaAllah. Okay, jadi sudah beberapa kali ya, mungkin ada yang daripada peserta hari ini dah melihat saya beberapa kali ya. Jadi today presentation is about membrane for direct methanol fuel cell applications. Okay, so saya akan mulakanlah insyaAllah. Okay, so this is my presentation overview. I will start with a little bit introduction and then a chronology of the MFC development in our research center, and then fundamental R&D on membrane for the MFC application and way forward. Okay, so as for introduction, I would like to highlight on the world energy and environmental issues. As you can see in this slide, generally speaking, the world energy consumption increased year by year due to the population expansion and technology advancement. Yeah, so I believe all of you here will agree with me. More people, so more activities, right? Does need more energy. So this statement has been proved from the data tabulated by the International Energy Outlook 2016. You can see here. Okay. All right. All right. So in addition, it has been recorded that the carbon footprint, as you can see here, has increased 7 times in a century due to the usage of carbon-based fuels such as coal, natural gas, oil, petroleum, and many more to produce energy, right? So even though 7 times increment in 1 century or 100 years sounds not significant, yeah, but the rapid urbanization and drastic increase of population has contributed to more significant increase of carbon footprint in recent years. Yeah. So this phenomenon has contributed to the greenhouse house effect, which including the ice polar cap melting, seawater level rising, okay, what else? Flood, famine, okay, famine, kebuluran, right? And then formation of extreme weather. Therefore, there is a need to introduce and employ renewable energy technologies such as fuel cell, in which I will, the technology that I will highlight today, yeah. Okay, so can fuel cell technology fix the problem? Right. So I give here the comparison between fuel cell technology and combustion technology that we use today until today. So the ultimate target of both technologies is to generate the electricity, right? But the major exhaust product of a combustion engine is the CO2, carbon dioxide, that will contribute to the carbon footprint increment. Meanwhile, the byproduct of a fuel cell will be only water. Okay, but when we consider direct methanol fuel cell, of course, the byproduct will definitely have the CO2, which comes from the carbon element in the methanol, right? So because indirect methanol fuel cell, in which one of the fuel cells that I will highlight today. So methanol is used as a fuel. So in the methanol, we knew that it has the carbon element, right? So the CO2 will also contributed in the direct methanol fuel cell. But worth to be mentioned that the concentration of the CO2 released from the DMFC is very low and safe even for a baby. Okay. So where are fuel cells used? Okay. So and here it shows the fuel cell power spectrum, which varies in terms of watt powers generated and the application that can be benefit from it. Yeah. So the power spectrum can be varies from micro here, from micro applications up to macro applications such as the power plant stationary that you can see here. Yeah. So in this slide, it shows the types of fuel cells. Okay, we have 6 types of fuel cell, which may distinguish based on their fuel used, okay, fuel type used, and then electrolyte, what type of electrolyte to use in the fuel cell system, and then the operating temperature. Okay, so for example, we have the here, okay, we have the high temperature fuel cells such as SOFC and MCFC, and then we have the intermediate temperature and so on. And we have the DMFC here, okay, in which will be the highlight topic today. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this schematic animation shows the principal operation of DMFC, direct methanol fuel cell. So as you can see here from this, how can I say, the animation schematic, yeah. So it starts from this anode. Okay, we have these 3 elements: anode, cathode, and in the middle is the membrane. Okay. So in direct methanol fuel cell, we use methanol solution as the fuel. Okay, so it fit into the anode and then it will be separated into protons and electrons. So the membrane that being studied in our research center, we're focusing on the proton exchange membrane. Okay, so that the protons will pass through, the electrons will pass through the external circuit. Okay, and then at the cathode, okay, the protons, electrons will combine, okay, to produce energy and water. Okay. So before we proceed to the fundamental research and development study that we have in our research center, so I would like to share our achievements so far in the development of the MFC. Okay, so study in the MFC was started somewhere in 2000. Okay, 2000 when AMTEC through Prof. Fauzi. Okay, Prof. Fauzi, our former director. Okay, the director of AMTEC, and then in which before we recognized as the AMTEC, we formerly known as MRU. At that time, Prof. Fauzi was the director, yeah. And he has an initiative collaboration in fuel cell technology with with Petronas. Okay, Petronas Research Center Berhad. So if in Indonesia, I believe it will we call it Pertamina. Yeah. So after a couple of years, myself and Prof. Hafiz, Dr. Mukhlis, and some of our friends started our master study. Okay, after the year of 2000 lah. Okay, so which at that time, the first time I've been introduced to the MFC actually. Okay, so with some progress in the master study, we managed to secure a patent through the innovation that we made on the sulfonated polyether ketone membrane for direct methanol fuel cell, in which in 2007. So at that time, we only managed to produce 5 watt power from a single membrane. Then in 2017, we developed multi-stack membrane and managed to obtain 40 watt power output. And we patented the design of our fuel cell stack especially the graphite plate low field channel design and etc., in which specialized to our fuel cell stack. Okay, and currently what we have is the MFC power generator or genset with the capacity of power 2 kilowatt. It's still low. This is a very small contribution actually from our team in in the development of the MFC. So we have to go. There is still far way to go in the MFC, I believe, because 2 kilowatt is very small. Very small power can be generated from our pistol, and you can see here this is our prototype, which looks very simple one, but in fact when we can find in the internet one of the I forgot what is the name of the company, but it comes from the Japan. They also have the similar design of the genset, this genset, but it is not direct methanol fuel cell, but it is a hydrogen fuel cell. Okay, but more or less the principle of operation is about the same. Okay, but the look like what we have today in Amtech. Okay. Okay. And here, okay, I show you how we make our membrane and assemble them into membrane fuel cell stack. Okay, so we have the membrane and we make it into fuel cell stack. Okay, specifically for the genset that I showed you just now, we use a sulfonated polyether ketone, okay, as the base polymer material. Okay, so today, towards the end, I will focus on the research and development, of course. Okay, so now I'm talking about the membrane. Okay, the materials of the membrane that we use in our genset. Okay, so the formulation of the membrane comprised of polymer, okay, solvent and additive. Okay, for lab scale, we just use a petri dish. Okay, as you can see in this slide, yeah, in this membrane casting step. Okay, so we just use a petri dish as the mold to make the flat sheet membrane. Okay, for upscale, we have a pneumatically casting machine to cast the membrane. Okay, more or less, this is the image of our membrane. Okay, something like that. It is a brownish color. So then the membrane will be assembled together with electrodes. Okay, anode and cathode. Okay, but so far we still, in terms of the electrode, we still do the R&D. Okay, so for this genset, actually, we still use the commercial electrodes. Okay, so how we assemble it, we use the hot pressing machine. Okay, here, hot pressing machine. Okay, we have this machine in Amtech, and this is the image of the MEA, membrane electrode assembly. We have membrane assembled with the electrodes. Okay, and then the MEA will be stacked with graphite plate sandwiched in a single MEA. Okay, so finally we stacking them up into several stacks based on the needs of power output. Yes, as you can see here, we have numbers of fuel cell stack here. Okay, and actually this is how roughly we design our the MFC genset. Okay, so you can see we have the tank of the methanol, and then we have pump, we have the multiple stack of our membrane, and then we must also have the battery to start up, and then inverter and so on. So you can see how the flow of our fuel cell design. Okay, now we come to the fundamental research and development. Okay. Okay, so here actually the main component, yeah. One of the main component in the MFC is the polymer electrolyte membrane, or sometimes we call it as proton exchange membrane, because as I mentioned just now, the membrane will allow proton to pass through. Okay, so it also can be called as proton exchange membrane. Okay, more or less, this is the exact, uh, the exact physical appearance of our membrane. Okay. Okay, so these are the desirable properties that a polymer electrolyte membrane for the MFC should have. Firstly, high proton conductivity, high methanol barrier or low methanol permeability. Okay, so high durability, moderate water uptake, and low cost. Okay, low cost because nowadays the until now at the market we have a Nafion membrane. Nafion is the commercial membrane that we use in fuel cell, in PMFC or hydrogen fuel cell, the MFC, okay, direct methanol fuel cell. It is very expensive, but until now it still dominates the market. Yeah. So as I shared with you the chronology of the MFC development, and I did mention that we started with SPIC or sulfonated polyether ketone, okay, and we did so many following modifications and make it composite on the SPIC, okay. So I use abbreviation SPIC, yeah, from now on, okay, to represent the sulfonated polyether ketone, okay. So since 2003, we made the modification on the SPIC. So here I would like to highlight the remaining issue that we found in the SPIC composite. Now I'm talking about the SPIC composite membrane that has motivated us to continuously improve the characteristic of SPIC membrane. Okay. So firstly, the application of the available fabrication techniques of polymer electrolyte membranes such as melt blending, solution blending, in situ polymerization, and solder can cause weak interfacial interaction between the polymer and fillers due to poor dispersion of inorganic fillers. So there will, create gap between the polymer and the filler. Okay, filler is normally inorganic type, and polymer is organic. Yeah. And even though the compatibility between two materials can be improved via surface modification method, the reductions of surface energy of fillers and their surface polarity with polymer is still problematic. Okay, so this is still closely related to the compatibility issue between the polymer and the inorganic filler that we choose. Okay, so this consequently contribute to segregation effect, and that cause high reactant of fuel permeability through a typical composite or integration morphology. So in the next slide, I will show the structure, the morphological structure in the membrane when we have this composite type of membrane. Okay, and how it contribute to this permeability of the fuel. Okay, so thus new modification approach in order to capture the morphological issue is needed. Okay, and proceed. Okay, so these are the morphological structure of the polymer composite membrane. Okay, polymer composite meaning that we have the polymer, we have the filler. Okay, and this one, okay, the agglomeration is the most troublesome one. Okay, meanwhile exfoliated structure here, okay, is the most ideal one. Okay, so the red particle here is representing the additive or the inorganic filler that we use. Okay, as I highlighted in the previous slide, okay, here, okay, in this slide, okay, a membrane for the MFC should have high methanol barrier or low methanol permeability. Methanol is our fuel in direct methanol fuel cell. Okay, so if the methanol can pass through the membrane, so meaning that we waste our fuel. So the methanol will not be separated into protons and electrons to generate the electricity, but we waste the fuel. Okay, so composite membrane consists of polymer and additive as I mentioned just now, I already give the definition of the polymer composite. Okay, so actually the inorganic filler has high barrier properties towards a small molecule like methanol. Okay, so the inorganic filler has this special character. Okay, it is very hard, so it has this high barrier properties to the methanol molecule. So methanol cannot pass through the inorganic filler. Okay, so by having this kind of dispersion, okay, dispersion in the organic of the inorganic filler, we can create a winding or to toxicity pathway to the methanol molecule to cross over the membrane. As I mentioned just now, the inorganic filler has high barrier properties to the methanol, right? So methanol, when it need to pass through the membrane, so it is very difficult for the methanol, okay, to pass through it, okay, as compared to here, okay, in the agglomeration or the integration, the path is just very straightforward, yeah, very straightforward, okay, so straightforward, so high methanol permeability as compared to the exfoliated structure. So we are trying the best to get or to to obtain this exfoliated dispersion degree of the inorganic filler in polymer composite. Okay. All right. So the issue has initiated us to conduct this study. So preparation and properties of the electrospun chloride nanofiber coated speak membrane for the MFC application. Okay, actually this is not, to be honest, this is not a recent study that we've conducted, but I really like to share this achievement of this study because the structure itself is very unique when we have the nanofiber, chloride nanofiber in our speak membrane. Okay, so the speak is the polymer matrix and the chloride clay is the inorganic material that we use as the additive in this study. Okay, so as summary of the main properties of our developed membrane is we obtain a comparable magnitude of proton conductivity to that of commercial Nafion membrane and significantly lower methanol permeability. As you can see here, our methanol permeability is only 1.22 times 10 power of negative 8. Meanwhile, the commercial Nafion membrane is 1.2 times 10 power of negative 6. Okay, so it's like 2 orders different. Okay, and this is the same image, okay? This is the same image showing our chloride nanofiber. This is not yet the membrane, but the nanofiber, the chloride nanofiber. And we do doping. The silicon element in the nanofiber proves that we managed to electrospin chloride clay. And you can see the dispersion of the chloride in the nanofiber is uniform and just a small part here, okay? Agglomeration, but more or less we managed to get the uniform distribution of the chloride in the nanofiber. Okay, all right. And this is the fabrication step that we use to produce the chloride nanofiber coated speak membrane. Okay, so coated speak membrane, what I mean here, the speak membrane is the polymer base that we use in the membrane. So we coat with the nanofiber, but during making the nanofiber, we use the formulation of speak as the polymer carrier, together with the chloride clay as the inorganic material. So in fact, the nanofiber consists of speak and also chloride. Okay, and again we have the speak solution as the base polymer. So we will incorporate the electrospun chloride in the speak polymer carrier into the speak solution here. Okay, so we studied in terms of the solidification time. Okay, how the nanofiber match, okay, will position themselves, whether on the top of the membrane, in the middle, or at the bottom part. Okay. In fact, this is the electro spinning machine that we normally use in our research center. We have this in Amtech, yeah. Okay, so we did vary some factors such as membrane solidification time, as I mentioned just now, loading amount of chloride in a cell trough. We managed to obtain exfoliated morphology as we wished. As you can see in the FISEM image, this membrane surface structure, okay, this is the membrane surface structure, enlargement here, and the cross-section, okay. As a function of solidification time, this is the best structure, okay, of the membrane that we had, okay. So in this slide, I just show the best membrane that we had, okay. So the upper part, okay, the upper part of the the upper part comprised of electrospun chloride, and the rest are speak polymer matrix. So this is the membrane, okay, in which the chloride nanofiber already embedded in the speak membrane, okay. So just now I'm saying about the coating, but now I'm saying embedded because as a function of membrane solidification time, the location we found that the location or the position of the inorganic is embedded into the membrane, okay. So, and this is the close-up image, okay, of this schematic morphology structure, in which it can explain more on the obtained structure here. I mean here, okay. So on the cross-section seen here, okay, the chloride nanofiber dispersed in sewing-like structure like this, okay. All right. And this structure explain why there is no leaching issue during our investigation. Okay, we also have conducted the XRD analysis as an alternative analysis to confirm the exfoliation dispersion of the chloride, but I didn't share it here. But how to say, as the summary, based on the peak that have been shown by the XRD, the signature peak to represent the chloride has been, how can diminish, okay. So we can say that the structure is exfoliated, has meet the exfoliated dispersion degree, okay. Okay, and here's some of the results on the physicochemical properties such as water uptake, methanol permeability, and then proton conductivity. And from the methanol permeability and proton conductivity, we can compute the selectivity. Okay, the selectivity is proton conductivity over methanol permeability. Okay, so the swelling gave okay, below here shows the swelling results. Okay, we have in plane and in thickness swelling. Okay, it is very interesting result from this finding. As you can see, the best membrane has been selected here based on this highest proton conductivity, okay, and the lowest methanol permeability, okay, and moderate water uptake. It's shown the highest swelling in thickness. Okay, in thickness shows the highest in thickness and lowest in plane. Okay, so this is really a desirable properties for a PEM or proton exchange membrane, where this will provide a more intact connection between membrane and the electrode during the DNFC operation, and consequently can enhance the performance. Okay, all right. Okay, and this is the IV polarization analysis, which expressed in the form of power density. Also shows a synchronized result to the physicochemical properties results. So as I showed here, the speak E span CL17, meaning that the speak consists of the electrospun chloride at 17 weight percent, exhibited the highest power density as compared to other membranes. Okay. Okay, so we also conduct the stability test on our membrane, okay, by using the Fenton's reagent. So, and after 96-hour in bare solution of OH radicals, meaning that the membrane alone in the Fenton's reagent. Fenton's reagent is very harsh reagent, strong reagent in which it has the OH radicals that mimic the condition of the direct methanol fuel cell operation. So as you can see in this membrane, after 96 hours, the membrane still showed intact in structure. But in real application, the membrane is sandwiched with the electrodes and many other how can I say parts. Okay, so we can say that by having this test, we can say that our membrane managed to operate stable. The stability is very very high when it comes to the real application. Okay. Okay, and I come to the way forward of this study. Okay, so first I shared the challenges. Okay, so limited feasibility study on the classification of electrospinability polymers, because we still do not have the list of polymers that can be electrospinned. It depends on how you process the polymer, with in terms of molecular weight sometimes. Okay, it really depends on those properties lah. Yeah. Okay. And secondly, understanding on the correlation between morphology of electrospun nanofibrous materials and electrospinning processing parameters. Okay, there are so many processing parameters in electrospinning machine. So until now, we still in R&D stage to get this information. Okay, to have this correlation between the morphology that we want to have and the optimum processing parameters of the electrospinning machine. Okay, and then even though electrospinning can produce a highly porous film media that can produce high proton conductivity, of course, yeah, without having any polymer matrix in the membrane, for example. Okay, if we only have the nanofiber alone, okay, in the film media, or we can say as the max, okay, of course the proton conductivity will be high. Unfortunately, it simultaneously will increase methanol crossover. Okay, so thus this will tremendously reduce the overall EM performance. Therefore, a more viable modification techniques for nanofiber membrane fabrication is needed. One of it is what we have done and I have reported just now. And the handling of ultra-thin nanofiber mats is another challenge marks. This may lead to poor fuel cell performance for long-term run. So similar to the above mentioned challenge, a hybrid or modification in membrane fabrication techniques therefore is a must. Okay. So as the concluding remarks, SICK has shown a very promising performance due to its flexibility of proton conductivity controllability, which can be done by manipulating the sulfonation processing parameters such as type and concentration of sulfonating agent use, temperature, and time, right? So however, since that the methanol transport through SPIC was also rely on the water uptake, which correlated to the degree of sulfonation, a modification on SPIC is therefore needed. Okay, so it comes to the SPIC composite membrane, okay, as a promising alternative solution by benefiting the advantages from the base polymer in terms of the flexibility and processability and the selectivity, okay, impermeable to methanol molecule and thermal stability of the inorganic fillers, okay, in which this will contribute to higher fuel cell performance, okay. Incorporating the inorganic fillers in nanofibers formed into SPIC polymer matrix is also a promising technique in providing an exfoliated morphological structure of speak nanocomposite polymer electrolyte membrane for the MFC, in which in exfoliated morphological structure, we might have high proton conductivity, in which the inorganic filler that we choose should also have high proton conductivity properties. Okay, and then the structure of the exfoliated morphology itself will produce will create the winding pathway to the methanol, so it will reduce the methanol permeability. At the end, it will give you relatively high performance. Okay, so here I would like to give these acknowledgements to my students who conduct this research, to the to the team in Amtech, okay, who also support me in terms of the research, mental, and etc. Okay, as that, I would like to thank you for your kind attention. Back to you, Ms. Moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Juhana, for that excellent presentation about membrane technology for energy generation, especially for direct methanol fuel cell, or the MFC application. And then I will remind the participant again, you have the opportunity to submit text question to our speakers by typing them into the chat box. And then you are also welcome to ask a question directly during the Q&A session. And then we are now moving on to the second speaker. First of all, let me give an introduction about him. Professor Muhammad Hafiz Dzarfan. He graduated with Bachelor Engineering in 2004 and with Master of Science in 2007 from Universiti Teknologi Malaysia. And then in 2012, he got a diploma of the Imperial College. And also in 2012, he graduated with a PhD from Imperial College London. And he started his academic career in UTM in about 2004. Currently, he is a professor in Department of Energy Engineering UTM. He is also the director of Higher Institute Center of Excellence Advanced Membrane Technology Research Center, or AMTEC. And his outstanding outputs in research were evident from his receiving about 96 distinguished awards and fellowships at national and international levels. The most currently in November 2021, he is listing in the top 2% scientists in the world in the respective field category citation impact in single calendar year 2020 by Stanford University, US. And then Professor Muhammad Hafiz is also active in writing for scientific publication in high impact factor in international and national journals. To date, he has published more than 380 papers in Scopus Index journals with each index of 36 and total citation of 4,000, more than 4,600. Professor Hafiz has received many recognitions and achievements at national and international level. He was invited as keynote speaker in several international conferences. He also appointed as editorial board members in several journals. Until now, he already led many research grants and being member of about 176 research projects. And then in terms of supervision, he has PhD and master, including national and international students. He has also supervised and several numbers of internship students for other countries. Okay, now let's please welcome Professor Hafiz. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Musharrafah, for kind introduction and also long introduction. Thank you so much. Okay, let me share the screen first here. Can you see the slide presentation?
Yes, Professor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, first of all, I would like to express my gratitude to the Dr. Nurul, Dr. Puwanto, and also ITCAF for inviting me and give some sharing on my current research interests. So the topic that I will discuss with you today is a ceramic hollow fiber membrane for water and water treatment. Okay, this is the building of MTech. I think in the previous series of seminars, you have been talking about MTech, and also we are one of a higher center of excellence, or we know as a national center of excellence for water and water treatment. So we are the only center in Malaysia that have the expertise for the membrane technology as well as for the water commission. So we've been recognized by Ministry of Higher Education. So when we talk about water and water treatment, so we always know there's no doubt that the membrane is one of the best technology for water and water treatment. If you can see, there's many developed countries that use membrane technology for seawater desalination or to reclaim their wastewater, like what they've been doing in Singapore, for example, or in Japan or in USA. So membrane technology is of the final stage for the waste. But membrane is always associated with the high cost. The membrane is quite expensive in terms of the operational, also in terms of the material wise. Okay, when we talk about membrane, what makes the membrane is quite expensive is one of the reasons because of the complexity to produce the membrane. Okay, in order to produce the membrane, the manufacturer have to ensure that the pore size of the membrane should have a similar pore size throughout the structure. Okay, for example, if you set the membrane pore size is 0.1 to 0.2, so you should produce the membrane or the film with this specific pore size. So the membrane should have a narrow pore size distribution. It's different than the other coating layer. For example, if you talk about plastic or the other types of coating layer, they have a narrow pore size distribution. Okay, they don't have the specific pore size distribution. So when they have a narrow pore size, when they have a broad pore size distribution, so they cannot act as a selective barrier. Okay, they cannot act as a only choose a certain constituent to allow it to pass through the layer and also retain the others. So the good membrane, it should have the specific pore size, and also it should only allow certain constituent to pass through. Okay. So the concept of a membrane, especially for water and water treatment, is based on the filtration. If Dr. Juhana already talked about the concepts of a membrane in fuel cell, but the mechanism is slightly different. In fuel cell, normally it is based on the ion transfer, but for membrane in water and water treatment, normally what we allow something to pass through is the smaller molecular size. And it happened that in water actually is the smallest molecular size compared to the other constituent, compared to the other compound. So meaning that when there is some pollutant in the feed, okay, so most of the pollutant is much bigger than the water molecular size. So therefore, we actually separate water from the other based on the filtration process. Only a small pore size will be allowed to pass through the membrane, specific membrane, and the bigger molecular compound will be retained on the feed side. Okay, so we have different types of conventional membrane. This is what we call as conventional, because now there are many developments of membrane, and the conventional is still being used in industry. So we have the microfiltration, ultrafiltration, nanofiltration, and reverse osmosis. And the pore size of the membrane becomes smaller towards from microfiltration to reverse osmosis. And the smaller the pore size of the membrane, so the higher the pressure of the operation that need to be used because of the pore is too small, so the resistance is very high. So we need to push using high pressure in order to allow only some constituent to pass through. Okay, maybe people also wonder what is the difference between membrane and the other filtration process. For example, cartridge or cell filter. So these types of cartridge and cell filter also have the same mechanism as the membrane, but their pore size is normally bigger than 5 micron. On the other hand, membrane, like microfiltration, for example, have the pore size of less than 3 micron. So that is slightly the difference between them. I think I hear
Okay.
Should I continue? Okay. Okay. So when we talk about the types of membrane, normally we classify them according to the material. So we have the organic membrane, which is made from natural polymer or synthetic polymer, like polyvinylidene fluoride, PTFE, polypropylene, and so on. And we also have the inorganic membrane. So meaning that it's non-hydrocarbon material. Okay, so like a ceramic membrane, carbon membrane, and also metal membrane, like alumina, zirconia, and titania is the most commercially used ceramic membrane. And we also have the combinations of these two material, polymer, when we mix with the inorganic membrane, we call them as a mismetric membrane. Okay, the idea of having this mismetric membrane actually is to tackle the drawbacks or shortcomings of polymeric material or inorganic material. So that just imagine that when you have these two material together, so we expect that we can have the synergical effect. But these types of mismetric membrane is still under development. It's not many mismetric membrane has been commercialized in the market. This is due to some leaching and also the agglomeration issue. Okay. So when we compare the most commercial membrane in the market, which is ceramic and polymeric membrane. So ceramic we know have a superior mechanical strength, chemical and thermal resistant. Because of its ceramic nature is very tough. Okay? And therefore, ceramic membrane can be used for the longer operational lifetime. It can be used more than 20 years. But for the polymeric membrane, on the other hand, it can degrade over the time. Okay, therefore, we need to replace them every 2-3 years. We have to replace them, especially when we work under harsh chemical or thermal environment. So it will be easily degraded. Probably we need to change it more frequent. Okay, but the main issue with the ceramic membrane, it is expensive. Okay, and also the nature of the ceramic, it is brittle. So therefore, in industry, if they only want to use for normal operating condition, they prefer to use polymeric membrane instead of the ceramic membrane. So ceramic membrane is not always been up as the option in the industry due to this reason. And the common structure of ceramic membrane is what we call as asymmetric. So meaning that the top and the bottom layer doesn't have the same structure. The bottom layer normally is porous. So we have to do some deposition technique in order to deposit another layer and further reduce the pore size. So meaning that the smaller the pore size that we need it to be, so the more deposition layer that we have to do on the porous support. Okay, like for example, microfiltration, we have only 2 layers. Okay, for the ultrafiltration, we need probably 3 layers. And for nanofiltration or for the gas separation, we probably need more and more layers. So this is how we produce the ceramic membrane. Okay. So the conventional way to prepare the ceramic membrane is shown in this diagram. So we mix the powder together with the solvent in order to produce the ceramic slurry and paste by using a stirring or blow milling method. And after that, we cast them, or we form into a precursor either as a flat sheet or tubular by using tape casting, slip casting, pressing, or extrusion. And after that, we get the support precursor, and we have to do some sintering. So this is only to produce the support. So after we produce the support, so we need to deposit one layer, one by one. So we can use either vapor deposition or deep coating method or spray coating method in order to produce the thin layer on top of the support layer, and followed by sintering. And this process will be repeated until we get the asymmetric structure. Okay, why? When I mentioned that ceramic membrane is expensive, this is the reason, this is the fact why the ceramic membrane is expensive. Firstly, is the raw material of the ceramic membrane, aluminum and zirconia, is much expensive than the polymeric material. It is probably more than 10 times more expensive than the polymeric material. And the fabrication method to produce ceramic membrane is multiple step process, which is very tedious in order to produce a symmetric structure. Just as explained, we have to do extrusion, sintering, position, sintering, and repeat the method few times in order to produce the desired pore size. And also the sintering temperature for the commercial material, aluminum and zirconia, is also quite high, and therefore it need to use a very high energy consumption. Okay, require high energy consumption, and therefore it increase the production cost as well. And also the configurations of the membrane currently available in flat sheet and tubular. So this configuration lead to the lower surface area. So therefore, nowadays researchers try to think how to reduce the cost of this ceramic membrane. So this is one of the effort to reduce the ceramic membrane cost. For example, we can use the alternative material that are abundantly available, and also we can use the fabrication method like a phase inversion, which this method can produce asymmetric structure in a single step. And also we able to produce a hollow fiber membrane. Once we use the phase inversion, we also can produce smaller versions of tubular, what we call as a hollow fiber, and the diameter of this membrane is less than 2 millimeter. And this is the diagram of this hollow fiber if we make them in a module. So therefore, we can increase the surface area of the membrane. So this is the list of the alternative raw material for ceramic membrane, and the criteria in order to choose alternative raw material, it has to be non-toxic, low melting point, abundantly available, and low cost. So we can classify them according to these three categories, either as a natural occurring material, agricultural or industrial waste, and also the animal bones or animal waste. So this is some of the material or the chemical compositions of the alternative material. If you can see, I think these types of material is also available abundantly in Indonesia as well. Same goes in Malaysia. We have a lot of kaolin, ball clay, but we don't have natural zeolite for now. But we have a lot of fly ash, aluminum dross, and so on. So these types of material, the main composition is silica and alumina. Okay, so silica, if the higher the amount of silica content inside the compound, so meaning that the lower the sintering temperature to produce the membrane, because the sintering temperature for silica is much lower than the alumina. The sintering temperature for silica is like 1,200. Sintering temperature to produce alumina is 1,200. This 200 degrees Celsius difference can reduce a lot the cost for the production. And in fact, the other impurities like ferric oxide, titanium, gallium oxide present as impurities in the kaolin, ball clay, and so on, actually can also be added as the sintering aid. Okay, because these types of material have a much lower sintering temperature than the silica itself. So when you sinter the membrane at 1,200, these types of impurities will be melt and will act as a glue to bind the grain between the silica and alumina, and therefore we can further reduce the solution temperature. So this is one of the best, good or advantages of using this alternative material. So this is a method that we always use in our laboratory, what we call as the dry jet wet phase inversion sintering technique. So this technique actually is pioneered by Prof. from Imperial College London. So we brought it here in UTM. So this is how we produce the hollow fiber membrane. We prepare the dope suspension preparation by mix the ceramic material with polymer binder. Normally we use polyethylsulfone and some solvent, and we extrude through the spinneret using a syringe pump. Okay, we have to control the extrusion rate very accurately. So we use syringe pump. So this is the spinneret. Okay, this spinneret normally have their own shape in order to form the membrane in hollow fiber shape. Okay, so we also inject water in order to produce the lumen. Okay, some people probably ask what is the method that used to produce the lumen. So we use water. We inject water in the middle so we can produce the lumen. And because of the interaction between the internal coagulant and also the dope solution, the suspension, so it will create a finger-like structure. Okay, this combinations of finger-like and sponge-like structure, what we call as is asymmetric. So this is what we call as we can produce asymmetric structure in a single step by using phase inversion. Okay, but we have to know that in the precursor we also have the polymer binder, so we have to burn off the polymer binder by using the sintering procedure. So this sintering procedure is also will turn the precursor into a very strong ceramic membrane. So this is to show you the research trend for the ceramic hollow fiber membrane nowadays. So you can see that the trend of the ceramic hollow fiber membrane is increased tremendously after 2004. This is after the introductions of the phase inversion to produce the hollow fiber membrane. So you can see that the publications is become double and triple after that. And it's also proud to mention that UTM is the first contributor for publication in ceramic hollow fiber membrane, and we exceed the publication by Imperial College London. And research in MTech, we develop using several material like natural occurring material, kaolin membrane, mullite membrane, Bockley membrane, silica sand membrane, natural zeolite membrane, and also bauxite membrane. And for the agricultural and industrial waste, we have the rice husk ash, palm oil fuel ash, aluminum dross membrane, and also fly ash. And for the animal bone and animal waste, we have the cow bone and also cocoa shell. So we compare our low-cost ceramic membrane using this alternative material to the conventional ceramic membrane using a pure metal oxide. So in terms of the sintering temperature, you can see here that sintering temperature is much different, about 200 to 300 degrees Celsius different. And also the mechanical strength, although some of the material have a quite low mechanical strength, but some of them like bauxite, silica sand, and also mullite have almost comparable the mechanical strength with pure metal oxide. And also the pore size of the membrane is almost similar, which is fall under the microfiltration range. So the applications of this ceramic hollow fiber membrane can be used in many applications. For example, for water and water treatment, because of the ceramic membrane is hydrophilic in nature, so it's very suitable to be used for water and water treatment. And we can also use them for fuel cell application. If Dr. Juhana talked about a fuel cell, direct method of fuel cell, which is use polymer as electrolyte, but solid oxide fuel cell use ceramic as the component, the main anode, cathode, and electrolyte. Okay. And also we can use it for the gas separation via membrane conductor. But for the talk today, I will focus more on the water and water treatment. So I only discuss a few material because we don't have much time. So the first material that I would like to emphasize is the membrane that we produce from silica sand. Silica sand is everywhere. Okay. So we obtain the silica sand that have a very high content of purity of silica, 99.5%. Okay. And we produce them and by varying the sintering temperature. And we can produce the membrane with a specific pore size. We narrow precise solution, 0.18 micron, which fall under microfiltration. Okay, and we also measure the contact angle. It is a super hydrophilic, meaning that the membrane surface will have a very, very good affinity toward water, and it will repel most of the hydrophobic pollutant. Okay, this is very suitable to be used for the oily wastewater. In oily wastewater, it has water, which is hydrophilic, which will allow to pass through the membrane, and we also have the hydrophobic contaminants. So these hydrophobic contaminants, when they have very super hydrophilic surface of membrane, so it can reject them. It will reject them. So we can produce a very high quality of water. So we use these types of technique to do the rejection times, and we produce a very high rejection rate of this membrane, 95%. Meaning that if we have like 1,000 ppm of 1,000 ppm of oily wastewater, so we can reject 95% of them. Okay. Okay, the second membrane that we also fabricate in our lab is what we call as a bauxite membrane. Okay, bauxite membrane, it has contents of major compound is alumina, and also followed by silica, and by XRF we also identify we have ferrous oxide and titanium dioxide. These two material actually is good as a photocatalyst. Initially, we would like to use this material as a normal or common ceramic membrane because of the high alumina content. But when we check, it contains also very high titanium dioxide and ferrous oxide, which also can be used as photocatalyst. So we change the applications of this membrane into photocatalytic membrane. Okay, for photocatalytic membrane, it has functions. The site will act as a photocatalyst when there is a presence of the light. Okay, when there is the presence of the light, and we can produce the oxygen and hydroxy radical, and this radical can attack the pollutant, organic pollutant, and we can degrade them. Okay, this types of membrane, a part can be used for degrade the recalcitrant pollutant. It can also be act as the self-cleaning membrane, because we know that the membrane is always issue for the falling. Okay, because of the organic pollen, for example, settle down on the membrane and it will block the pores. So by using these types of photocatalytic membrane, we can only expose with the UV or the sunlight, for example, and it can degrade these types of cake layer, and we can reclean the membrane without any backwashing procedure. So this is one of the good thing about the photocatalytic membrane. So we tested with some of the recalcitrant pollutant like bisphenol A, and by using this membrane, we able to reject 70%. Okay. But this is actually not good enough. We tried to do some modifications by using a hydrothermal method in order to add more photocatalyst on the membrane. So we coat with the titanium dioxide and also copper oxide. Titanium dioxide is to use for UV light radiation. For the copper oxide is to use for visible light radiation. Just imagine if we have the sunlight, so we have this photocatalytic membrane, and it can react to the sunlight and can degrade the pollutant. At the same time, it can have the filtration process. So by using the membrane, the bauxite membrane coated with TiO2, when exposed to the UV light, we can degrade more than 90%. Okay, when we have the copper oxide exposed to the visible light, we can degrade almost 100%. So we actually can further boost the performance of the membrane if we can coat another layer on top of the bauxite membrane. Okay, this is how to ensure that we can enhance the reaction site for the photocatalytic degradation. Apart from the application as a hydrophilic ceramic membrane, so ceramic membrane can be used also for the hydrophobic application. For example, membrane insulation and membrane protector. So we can turn the ceramic membrane, which is hydrophilic in nature, into hydrophobic membrane by using several methods. So we opt for fluoride crystalline immersion method because it is simple and also fast, although it's quite expensive. So for this hydrophobic membrane application, we use a ball-clay membrane that we also obtained from one of the state in Malaysia, in Perak. So we crush the ball clay, we produce into hollow fiber membrane, and after that we do some hydrophobization on the membrane in order to obtain very super hydrophobic membrane. So just imagine from 10 degree contact angle, it can become 130 degree contact angle by using this FES immersion. So we subject this membrane for membrane distillation. Membrane distillation actually is the process to produce high purity of water. It is alternative for reverse osmosis and can be used for seawater desalination, can be used for reclaiming the wastewater because of the concept is a thermal and filtration process. So we need to use hydrophobic yet porous membrane. The ideal membrane to use in membrane distillation is filtration. So we can have the hot feed, we increase up to 90 degrees Celsius. And at this temperature, some of the water can be turned into a vapor and it will be allowed to pass through this hydrophobic membrane. And in the cold feed, it will be condensed and we can produce high quality of water in liquid state. And by using this hydrophobic membrane, we tested with saline water that also contains hydrophobic pollutant, which is humic acid, hydrophobic pollen, humic acid. Okay? We use membrane distillation concept, but by using this membrane, we can see some decline in the flux. It's because of the membrane. After some times, the pollen will adhere on the membrane surface. We settle down on the membrane surface. Okay, this can be proved by some autopsy after the operation. So we can see that the pores of the membrane have been blockage by humic acid. Okay. And therefore, we would like to further improve the surface of the membrane. Okay. We would be inspired by lotus leaf structure, and because of this lotus leaf structure have nodules, very high nodules, and these nodules can prevent the water molecule to have a close contact with the membrane surface. So instead of having only fast immersion method to do fluorinations on the membrane to obtain the superhydrophobic, we actually do the roughening on the membrane first and before we do the fluorination. And this is what we call omniphobic layer membrane. So we use the same method that we produce the photocatalytic membrane, hydrothermal method, in order to rougher the membrane surface before we do some fluorinations on the membrane. So this is the structure of the membrane when we varies the hydrothermal time from 2.5 hours up to 10 hours. So we can obtain nanorod structure at 5 hours and nanoflower structure at 10 hours. So we compare these two structures together with the neat membrane without the coating. Okay, so we can see when we look at the cross sections of the structure, we can see that the membrane with nanoflower structure have higher hierarchical structure. Okay, so we also do some contact angle with different what types of liquid like water and also other low surface tension water. So we can see that the result for the nanoflower, okay, have a higher contact angle than the nanorod and also without any coating. So this means that by having the roughening of the membrane, so we can further increase the contact angle. It not only can repel the water, but also repel the organic pollutant as well in water. So we try to see if we can take some photographic image. We immerse the membrane in water, so we can see that the membrane with nanoflower produce effluent layer, meaning that this effluent will avoid the water contact with the membrane surface. Is due to the hierarchical structure produced by the nanoflower structure on the membrane. Okay. So we use the membrane distillation again, and we compare with the non-coated ones. So we can see that the falling still happen, but not as the there's no weighting at all. meaning that because we can check from the conductivity. So if the conductivity for our permit is still negligible in terms of the changes, so we can say that the membrane have a very good anti-fouling, anti-hydrophobic property, and therefore it will not have the wetting issue on the membrane, okay, compared to the membrane without any coating. So this is also been proven by the photographic image, and also we further proved by the SEM image where the before and after for the nanoflower one look the same. So we also have experience in bigger scale productions of this ceramic membrane. So we got funding from our Ministry of Science and Technology to produce higher versions or bigger capacity of membrane installation. So we now produce the module with higher numbers of ceramic hollow fiber membrane. Okay, this can equip about 150 pieces of hollow fiber membrane. And also, I'd like to share a very short one, some of our experience working with industry by using a hollow fiber membrane for wastewater treatment. Okay, so we got a project with EMW. So this hollow fiber membrane is not ceramic, unfortunately. It is a polymeric membrane, but it is also in the shape of the hollow fiber. So we use this hollow fiber polymeric membrane for membrane bioreactor, but we try to propose a new idea which we put the bright support in order to enhance the mechanical strength of the membrane, because we know that the polymeric membrane, as I mentioned, when we compare with ceramic membrane, have issue with the mechanical strength. So in order to improve the mechanical strength of the polymeric membrane, we add the bright support. Therefore, it can be used for longer operation. Okay. So currently, we also have an ongoing project with EMW. This project is almost finished, where we develop a water reclamation system by using a hollow fiber polymeric membrane as well. So we developed by our own the ultrafiltration by using polyvinyl fluoride, and we able to reject more than 90%. In fact, this is much higher than the one that have been commercialized. We compare with some of the commercial membrane, and we achieve a few percent higher rejection than the commercial membrane. And we this capacity of plant is 45 liter per day and can reclaim water from wastewater, from industrial wastewater. So we have the existing wastewater treatment. So we couple with this water reclamation plant. So instead of we discharge the treated water to the river, just like that. So we take them, feed into this water reclamation plant, and we produce high quality of water, and it can be reused for the domestic in the plant, in the industry. Okay? So this is one of the way forward of using membrane technology in Malaysia nowadays. With that, I will thank you. I'm sorry if I take a longer time than expected. So look forward for discussion with you guys after this. Thank you so much. Back to you, moderator.
Okay, thank you, Professor Hafiz. Previously, from Professor Juhana, we get information about the use of polymer membrane technology for fuel cell application. And we just hear a presentation from Professor Hafiz about the use of ceramic membranes for purification application. And then we are now moving on to the third speaker. Let me give an introduction about him. Associate Professor Dr. Mukhlis Rahman graduated with Bachelor Engineering in 2004 and with a Master of Engineering in 2006 from Universiti Teknologi Malaysia. And then in 2012, he got a PhD from Imperial College London. And then he started his academic career in UTM in about 2006 And currently he is an associate professor in Department of Energy Engineering UITM. His outstanding outputs in research were evident from her receiving about 96 distinguished awards and fellowship at national and international levels. The most currently in December 2020, he got Anugerah Webometric 2019, Majelis Anugerah Gemilang Fakulti Kejuruteraan 2020. And then Professor Mukhlis is also active in writing for scientific papers in high impact factor in international and national journals. Today, she has published more than 200 papers in Scopus Index journals with its index of 28 and total citation of 1,900. Professor Mukhlis has received many recognition and achievement at national and international level. He was invited as keynote speaker in several international conferences. He also appointed as editorial board members in several journals. Until now, he already led many research grant and being member of about 130 research projects. And then in terms of supervision, he has a PhD and master students. And one of his students, Dr. Safika Huda, I know her when I was in Japan. She is also one of the student of Professor Mukhlis. And with that, now let's please welcome Professor Mukhlis. Time is yours. Professor Mukhlis, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Sorry. I'm about to share my camera actually. I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty to view my screen now.
Maybe Professor Mukhlis to be a host or co-host.
No, because I'm having difficulties. My Mac won't allow me to share my file. Let me check once again. I'm so sorry because of this. I'm not expecting this to occur.
Professor Mukhlis, if you have any difficulties, you could send me the file and I will present it to you.
I think Professor Mukhlis will get some internet trouble. Oh, it's great.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. First of all, I'm so sorry because of this technical issue. I would like to thank Dr. Musharrafah for being the MC for these sessions. I would like to thank all the committee of this program, especially to Chairman Dr. Purwanto and the Vice Reactor Dr. Nurul. Okay. I would like to thank you once again because having me as a guest, as a speaker of these sessions. So my name is Mukhlis Rahman. Thanks again to Dr. Musharrafah because of the kind introductions. So in these sessions, I would like to present my presentation related to the use of innovative hybrid hollow fiber membrane for gas separations. Okay. I hope that everyone can hear me and see the slide. Correct? Okay. Thank you so much. So I should go directly to the issue of my topic today. So as we know that nowadays transportations, especially land transportation, use internal combustion engine, which the fuel is mainly a gasoline. But now because of we having the greenhouse effects, so there is an effort to change the fuel that we use. Instead of using gasoline, we should use biofuels such as ethanol. In fact, ethanol has been used in gasoline. Sorry, ethanol has replaced gasoline in the internal combustion engine in Brazil. However, the performance of bioethanols is not really good compared to the gasoline. So instead of this, the ethanol that produced in large quantity nowadays can be used as a biofuel so that it can be selected as hydrogen carrier instead, so that the hydrogen carrier can be used directly, but in the fuel cell. But before use that in the fuel cell, we need to convert it into hydrogen first. So talking about fuel processor is referring to the technology that convert any fuel into hydrogen. So it's not it's a quite common technology nowadays. So that we can see that Reynolds and Novera have developed a fuel processing to convert any fuels, any carbon-based fuels, so that it can produce hydrogen. So later on, the hydrogen can be inserted into the PMFC for automobile application. So basically, fuel processor consists of autothermal reforming, so that the fuel can be turned into hydrogen and carbon-based gases, and then HTS and LTS, the hydrogen temperature shift and low temperature shift. This is used water gas shift reaction. Water is included, is fueled to HTS and LTS, so that CO is converted to more hydrogen, and then CO will convert it into carbon dioxide. So preferential oxidation is needed for this because we need to convert any CO, the remaining CO, into the carbon dioxide, so that it won't corrode or won't affect the PMFC. But this system, no membrane is used to further purify the hydrogen. So the idea of incorporating membrane to fuel processor actually I think addressed by Falco in 2011. The Falco developed fuel processor incorporated with palladium membrane to further purify hydrogen. But Falco used ceramic tube with the length of 150 centimeter length and 6 centimeter OD. So what he got is a production of hydrogen can fit or can supply fuel cell with 4 kilowatts. The recovery of his membrane is quite good, 67% of total hydrogen produced. And that, let's say 100 mole of hydrogen produced, the system able to separate up to 67% of it. So based on this, Falco used ceramic tube, is large diameter. So I think that's give us an idea to investigate the possibility of using ceramic hollow fiber to replace ceramic tube. So we come across the idea is what we call it catalytic hollow fiber membrane microreactor for the productions of hydrogen. So in this system, we can see that we put the outer surface of ceramic hollow fiber, the palladium membrane, and whereas in the inner surface, we put the catalyst of hydrogen generations. So the finger-like structure in here, that whatever appear in the cross sections of ceramic hollow fiber, we put the catalyst inside it. So the approach is hydrogen is being produced in the inner surface, and then due to the partial pressure difference of hydrogen, so it will diffuse out using the palladium membrane. So palladium membrane has been known as the metallic membrane, which enable infinite selectivity of hydrogen. So this is the advantage of this metal. Not only can use at high temperature, but it has no selectivity. It's only permeate hydrogen through its cross sections. So the first step is to investigate a number of ceramic membrane. In our work, we use alumina hollow fiber or aluminum oxide and ytteria zirconia hollow fiber. Both membrane material is sufficient, and then because of we want to perform the catalytic reaction inside the inner surface, we will use high purity of ceramic material. Otherwise, these impurities will corrode our membrane, will affect our chemical reaction. So we choose hydrogen generation reaction, ethanol steam reforming, and water gas shift reaction. We want to see how this the hydrogen producing reaction can be performed inside the finger-like structure. So obviously, because of this reaction, the heterogeneous reaction, it requires the catalyst. So now we begin our work with productions of ceramic hollow fiber. Okay, as Dr. Hafiz, Prof. Hafiz mentioned, we use a basic tools to develop our ceramic hollow fiber. So we start with producing ceramic suspension, and then this process require the use of ceramic particles, mixing with polymer binder, organic solvent, and dispersion. We need to mix this using predatory ball mill. After about maybe up to 4 to 5 days, we got the uniform suspension, and then we can't use it directly to make it the membrane. We need to degas it first, because during this ceramic suspension, during the milling process, a lot of bubble form. So even though it is just a form, it can defect our membrane, and it can defect our palladium membrane. So we experience this. Only one bubble can burst out our palladium membrane. That's no good. So we need to remove all of them during the spinning process. So in the spinning process, we use a spinning system using a spinneret, and then the spinneret, not the multiple. This is the spinneret in the center is consists of the the needle that we use water in the middle the lumen to carve the lumen, and then after this process, so we immerse all this precursor about 1 day, so that after 1 day, when all the polymer is freeze, and then we take out that precursor, straighten, cut them, and dry before sintered at high temperature. So the sintering process is required to burn off all the polymer binder, the dispersion, and organic solvent. So in the end, we will get a pristine ceramic hollow fiber. So this figure shows our ceramic membrane that we produce using phase equation in sintering technique. We can see that in here. So basically, to get this structure is not really, it's quite hard to tell you the truth. So it really depends on this viscosity of the suspension. But if correct viscosity being produced, we enable to get 80% structure, 80% finger-like structure over here. So this is the place we got the catalyst. So the carving process of this one, something that is caused by phenomenon called viscous fingering phenomena during the spinning process. So we injected our catalyst inside this one. We prepare our own catalyst because we do not want to use catalyst that we bought from industry or in a supplier, because they normally give us in the powder form or in the pellet form. So the pellet form is not suitable to be used inside this lumen, because you need to crush it first, and then you need to pump it, and obviously very little amount of catalyst in the powder form can enter this lumen. So instead, we use liquid precursor of catalyst. So we using sol gel Pacini method, we prepare that catalyst. So we inject it inside the finger-like structure. So over here we can see that the EDX, this is our catalyst, the catalyst. This is our base of the catalyst, copper onto Syria. Okay, so we want to see the performance of our ceramic hollow fiber membrane in comparison with fixed bed reactor. This is hydrogen production using ethanol steam reforming. We can see that when we stack, this is 2 hollow fiber, 4 hollow fiber, and 8 hollow fiber. So the amount of catalyst increase. So if you use 2 hollow fiber, we managed to get 8 milligram of catalyst. We can see that when we increase the amount of catalyst in hollow fiber, the hydrogen produced in here become increased. Okay. And then if we want to make a direct comparison between our catalytic reaction inside hollow fiber with the fixed bed reactor, we can see that if we crush this hollow fiber and then we measure, we put it inside the packet bag, so the performance, the hydrogen produced of 100 milligrams is equal to 18 milligrams of the catalyst using 8 hollow fiber. Show that the hollow fiber has something characteristic to improve the catalytic reactions. So actually, we need to find a proof how this can happen. How can hollow fiber with less catalytic, less weight of catalyst, and able to supersede the packet bed that they use widely in industry. So we come across with the study by Fu and Pan in open literature. Actually, it's really hard. We got after several months of searching evidence, the advantages of our ceramic hollow fiber reactor. So we come across with the term of microchannel. Actually, we don't have any idea using the words micro reactor in the first place, because we can see the phenomena, but we do not know how to correlate with open literature. So one day we come across with the literature by Fu and Pan. So these researchers think that study the neutralizations mixing of acid and base inside this microchannel. So they study that uniform, converging, diverging microchannel. So they want to see the effects of this microchannel onto the neutralization reaction. So based on their conclusion, they conclude that the diverging microchannel gas give the highest conversion of their acid solutions. So based on this, the idea came to us that there's similarity between the diverging microchannel with the finger-like structure. You can see that over here, this is a constrict channel and similar to our constrict channel of finger-like structure over here. Okay, so to compare, actually to deliver this similarity is not really, I mean that people will, I think it's really hard for people to believe comparison check like this. We take this picture and compare with these researchers, but these researchers also didn't prove how this diverging microchannel give a good performance. But we took the opportunity, we asked our colleague to do the CFD, computational fluid dynamics. So instead of we setting that the environment into argon, but at higher temperature, we set at 500 and 350 degrees C, we want to see, I think that's a term of micro mixing, because in catalytic reaction, you need a very good mixing process before you can convert that reactant into product. So from the figure in here, you can see that a lot of vortex flow occur. Okay, let me make it bigger. So the high velocity represented by the yellow. You can see that over here. The more hollow fiber you put, the high temperature, more vortex flow can occur. Okay, this is good for our system. Mean that they improve the mixing process inside the ceramic hollow fiber membrane. So the next step after we deposited our catalyst is now for us to coated our membrane with palladium membrane. So to perform the coating, we use electroless plating technique. For these purposes, we try sputtering of palladium, but during the reaction process, the palladium from prepare using sputtering burst, because there is no interaction between the palladium membrane with the support. So we need to do activation first. So we need to put the seed of palladium on top of our ceramic membrane. So using stannum chloride and palladium chloride, and then this is the roots of embedding the palladium on top of our support. So this process is repeated up to 7 times so that we got a very good layer of palladium seed. After this process, we coated with that seed with palladium. In fact, 2 layers of palladium need to be done. You need to do twice of palladium coating using the electroless plating technique. So hydrazine is used and ADTA is used as additive for this process. So in fact, after coating with dual layer of palladium membrane, we need to coat with another silver layer, because we want to make sure that this palladium, we're making an alloy of palladium and silver. So otherwise it won't survive the robust catalytic environment. So after we coating with silver, we got the white color, and then we treated under hydrogen environment at 500 degrees C, so that the alloying process occurs. Alloying process also mean that the silver at the outer surface will diffuse into the palladium matrix. So we got an alloy over there. So the thickness, the end thickness is about 5 microns, and that this is the structure from the outer surface. So we perform the water gas shift reaction using palladium membrane. You can see that we try to compare once again the catalytic hollow fiber microreactor without the presence of the membrane with the fixed bed reactor. You can see that the water gas shift reaction in here managed to reach the equilibrium conversion. So water gas shift reaction is exothermic reaction, so you can't have the conversion beyond this line. Okay, but we proved that compared to the fixed bed, our ceramic hollow fiber microreactor is better. However, when we put the palladium membrane on the outer surface, we can see that the equilibrium is beyond, now pushing the product formation. So the reaction now move toward the hydrogen production. So our process, we didn't use the vacuum, we use swapping gas. So the higher swapping gas that we use, the higher the amount of hydrogen is being produced. So test again with ethanol steam reforming. So this time we didn't draw the equilibrium line because ethanol steam reforming is endothermic reaction. So the conversions, the equilibrium conversion for ESR is equal to 1 at whatever temperature. So the higher the temperature, the higher the amount of hydrogen produced. But again, when we use the membrane, the palladium membrane on the outer surface, we managed to get more hydrogen compared to the one who don't have membrane and in the fixed bed reactor. Okay, this is hydrogen recovery. The drop because the amount of hydrogen produced is getting getting plenty, a lot of hydrogen produced, so the system won't able to get more hydrogen, so that's why the recovery is dropped a bit. But if we can use better technology for this, I do believe that the recovery can be improved. So now come to the challenge and way forward of this work. Actually, to tell you the truth, both systems having a tedious preparation step, both catalyst and membrane, and this will affect the commercialization process because the position of palladium membrane actually give a negative effect to the catalyst deposition because of the chemical reaction used in the palladium membrane will dissolve back that catalyst. The spattering technique seemed to be very good, but because of the physical deposition, it creates delamination problems. So we try to work on microporous material. Actually, that can withstand high operating temperature because there are a lot of microporous material such as zeolite, MOF that can be used to extract the hydrogen. But there is another way to encounter not to use palladium membrane for hydrogen separation. We can use the ceramic membrane. For example, perovskite membrane. Perovskite membrane is known to have infinite oxygen permeation, so we need to change the operation arrangement so that it can that perovskite can help to produce hydrogen for fuel cell requirement. I think that is my presentation for this session. I would like to thank you once again to the organizer. Thank you for having me in this talk.
Thank you, Professor Mukhlis, for providing this very interesting presentation about innovative hybrid hollow fiber membrane for gas separation. And then I will remind again for the participants, you have the opportunity to submit text question to our speakers by typing them into the chat box. And you may send in your question at any time during the presentation. We will collect this and address them during the Q&A session. You are also welcome to ask questions directly during the Q&A session by click the raise hand button, and I will let you to turn on your mic and then you can deliver your question. Okay, now we are moving to the third speaker. Let me give an introduction first about him. Dr. Deavaraj Veerasamy. holds a PhD in chemical engineering, and he is currently the principal consultant of Suraj Mahir Consultancy, or CMC, which is a Malaysian company providing advisory services and technical support in environmental management, focusing on raw rubber processing and rubber product manufacturing industries. And he was a senior scientist and the head of Environmental Technology and Sustainability Research Program of the Malaysian Rubber Board, or MRB, prior to his retirement in 2015, after serving 38 years for the Malaysian government. His past research experiences cover areas related to mitigating malodor in raw rubber processing factories using water scrubber system, and etc. He is a qualified ISO 9001 quality and ISO 14000 environmental management system as lead and audit. He currently heads the panel of experts for recycling, harvesting, and extraction of water to the Malaysian Rubber Council, or MRC, for evaluating green technology grant application. And he is also involved in providing consultancy services in southern Thailand in the use of membrane separation process to arrest environmental degradation at raw rubber processing factories and on value addition to rubber products. To date, he has published more than 70 research articles in journals, conference proceedings, and have 2 book chapters on process environment, cleaner processing, minimizing utilization of solid waste, and treat water recycling. And then he has 1 major patent granted in 2016 and 3 international patent application. He is also an editorial board member of the IC Impact Factor Recitation Index Journal of Rubber Research, which is established in 11940. Okay, now let's please welcome Dr. Veerasamy. Time is yours.
Yeah, can you see my slides?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you see my slides? Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank Institut Teknologi Kalimantan, Indonesia, for inviting me for this special occasion, and especially to Mohd Purwanto, the head, and then Gusti Umi Yanti, and also to Musrafa for a brief introduction of my CV. I'm very honored to be a member of this session. I would like to share my experience in working in Malaysian Rubber Board, and also help the rubber industry, the global rubber industry, which with some value-added processes that we can do to make rubber a sustainable industry worldwide. I would like to thank Malaysian Rubber Board for all these years of my experience, which I did so much of research and managed to come up with some important processes that could make the rubber industry more viable globally. And also, it won't be a sunset industry in the future. Rubber always have a day, I mean, it has got its importance all this while. So just briefly, I will explain my presentation outline. I will touch on the importance of rubber, and then followed by the non-rubbers. And we always think rubber. The other non-rubbers, they are very important, especially serum. And then how to recover the serum? How the membrane separation will enhance the to recover all these biomaterial value addition to natural rubber serum using membrane separation, and how is it zero waste technology is possible, and also future work that can be optimized in the use of membrane separation, and the paradigm shift in rubber industry that need to be done to make it more profitable industry globally. Okay, importance of natural rubber. Whatever people say, the global sales of rubber, natural rubber, stands at 20 billion in 2016. Now it could be easily about 30 billion, and the total production of 15 million ton. So the livelihood of more than 10 million rubber growers and smallholders of Southeast Asia, that includes Indonesia, Malaysia, and Vietnam, Thailand, and other countries like India, Sri Lanka, Cameroon are dependent on NR. So it is a strategic crop. Strategic crop, of course, the price of rubber goes up and down, but then you cannot take away rubber. You have more than 50,000 types of rubber product. You can have cars running in, electricity and all that, but you need tire actually. Tire actually must come from, of course, petroleum. Petroleum is exhaustive, so you finally turn to natural rubber. So the most important uses of rubber now is the surgical examination glove actually, because in the glove industry is the most important to fight against coronavirus. Without examination glove, the virus could spread very fast. So Thailand is still #1 producer, followed by Indonesia. Malaysia is much less because we use most of the rubber. We export very little, and other countries. Okay, these are the some of the products, important products made from rubber. So these are the importance of rubber. Rubber is divided into upstream, midstream, and downstream. Upstream refers to plantations and crop harvesting. The natural rubber planted worldwide sequestrate about 90 million tons of carbon dioxide annually. It's a carbon sink. That means it will absorb, it will reduce global warming. Another thing is, global warming is as a natural forest environment. It gives, you can plant rubber and then you can use it as a way of absorbing carbon dioxide. And of course, the other products that you can make from rubber trees when their economic life is over is rubber goods, rubber furnitures. Rubber furnitures are very much in demand in overseas, especially in the overseas, because it's a renewable resource. You've got a unique color. They call it yellow oak. It's a very unique. Of course, the other uses the midstream sector. Midstream sector is the rubber, raw rubber producing, latex, rubber producing. And then the downstream sector is the rubber product manufacturing. So 3 sectors of rubber industry that is classified. Of course, the other things that you can find from rubber, the non-rubbers. Non-rubbers are the, I will go into the next slide about the non-rubbers. We have, okay, all the while, we are only interested in natural rubber, which is latex. In latex, there are only about 30 to 35 rubber polymer. The rest is 60 to 65 is natural rubber serum. So all these years, we are only depending on the uses from the hydrocarbon, making tires, making what you call bridge bearings and rubber products and all that. The 70%, another 60 to 65%, which is in serum form, is aqueous phase serum. These are discharged into the water as a wastewater. So this is, we are not really bothered. In fact, we spend a lot of time, in treating this BOD, COD, and spend money and after the discharge in the wastewater. So, but actually, scientists have earlier found out that natural rubber serum has got a lot of biochemical, biomaterial insight, and pharmaceutically very useful in pharmaceutical cosmetic industry. So, in other words, we are not utilizing the whole sum of latex. We are only interested in the rubber polymer. The rest of it are lost as wastewater. So all these things, currently we are into this, and with the advancement of membrane separation technology, we could harvest, we could extract these chemicals here. So briefly run through latex coming from the rubber tree. There are so many ways of processing latex. Latex concentrate, by centrifugation, you get latex concentrate, and this is used for making gloves and condoms and other medical products. Then you have base latex, skim latex. We coagulate the skim latex. That means if latex concentration by centrifugation is 60% DRC, the rest of it goes into skim latex, which have to coagulate it and take away the rubber and discharge as a wastewater into the oxidation pond and other type. Then similarly, latex also is systematically coagulate. You get SMR-L, SMR-CV, that is standard international rubber of L and standard international rubber of CV. These are the one used for the special grade of tire for Pirellis, and most of the very high-tech cars use this kind of rubber for making tires. Then again, whatever coming out from the wastewater goes. Of course, this one also gives to the high BOD, COD content of the wastewater. A lot of biochemical goes there for treatment of wastewater. Similarly, the other lower grade of the caplam collected from the field, which is SMR 10 and 20. These are the tires, these are the rubber from the caplams collected from the tire, from the rubber plantation, which are not coagulated systematically. We are just coagulated rubber. It goes into, use a lot of water, about 20 kilogram, 1 kilogram, 20 kilogram of water for 1 kilogram of rubber, and you get SMR 10, 20, which is made into tire, mostly made into tire. Also, the wastewater from there is discharged. Of course, the other one is the group processing center, where the smallholders bring in latex and you coagulate using formic acid, then make into RSS, and this is dried and sold, and then to the buyer, and they too discharge a lot of water. So all this water, all this wastewater contain a lot of biochemical and goes there. Nowadays, natural rubber latex is an industrial hydrocarbon, 30 to 40% of rubber. The rest 60-70% of non-rubbers, which consists of carbohydrate, protein, lipids, mineral, microorganism. All these things with a high BOD, COD content, very highly valuable biomaterial, goes into wastewater treatment. You spend money treating this wastewater and discharge into the wastewater. So all these years, we have been discharging, only taking the rubber to making tires, the rest of the thing discharging. And this is called serum. Serum is the aqueous phase non-rubbers. So in the advent of membrane separation, until the membrane separation process came about, we couldn't extract this. So now Malaysian Rubber Board from the 1980s, when I came into, I'm one of the early pioneer introduced membrane separation technology to the rubber industry. I'm the one who introduced zero waste technology for rubber industry. You can Google. And so we came about of extracting various type of serum which are very highly which is a pristine collection of latex. That means we don't adulterate. Then the other one is we collect the free latex. So I'll explain in the next chapter. There are a few type of serum. That is, serum is the non-rubber rubber, isolating biochemicals in their natural condition. You see, normally the rubber tappers, they go to the garden or go to the plantation early morning. Last time all, but 3 to 4 o'clock, 3 to 4 a.m. in the morning. That is the time the turgor pressure is very high. Then you tap the rubber, you have this latex oozing up. So you can collect the latex at very at that time, and then you ultracentrifuge. That means you collect the latex, full latex, and then you bring it to the lab or factory where they have got ultracentrifuge to extract the serum. That later I will explain to you. The second type is you collect the latex normally, but don't add any preservation and all that. Then you coagulate with food grade acetic acid. Then you get the rubber out. Then you get the serum. That's the second type. The third type is the wastewater that you collect from the raw rubber processing factory. That's the third type, which is, of course, if you go downward, this is the most pristine collection. This is slightly better. Both of these two don't have any adulteration. The third one is actually a wastewater. Instead of discharging into the water, you extract it. Of course, the other three is the skim serum. Skim serum is the skim latex I mentioned earlier. When you centrifuge latex concentrate, you get skim latex. They coagulate the skim latex using sulfuric acid. Then they have the serum. And the other one is a kaplam serum. Nowadays, we have managed to find out the farm they let the coagulation of latex in the cup, normally done by the smallholders. We also managed to extract the serum from there. And then finally, the wastewater that is coming out from any of the factory. So these are the various type of serum source. The first one is B and C serum, is high-end application for medical and cosmetic. In fact, the rubber is only secondary use. And then the other one is going for bioprocessing. That means you take away you extract some enzyme and all this from this type. Whereas from all these things, low end, you can convert the serum to fertilizers, animal feed. Also, you can make extract some fine chemical, but you have to do a lot of purification. So this is basically the membrane separation technology is globally, how the membrane separation technology has enhanced rubber industry. Membrane separation technology globally accepted as one of the most reliable cleaner processing technique, and it has been explored. The technology usage has been explored in the rubber industry, actually for other users to reduce process water dependence on natural rubber resources. Like you use membrane separation technology to recycle water, especially for glove industry, recycle water, and then as a cleaner processing technique to alternative method of the ultracentrifugation to overcome centrifugation process. And then the other one we are going to talk in detail is the extraction of serum. And these three are the one which we're going to talk in detail, how we're going to extract serum from, how do we extract serum from the three types I mentioned, and also how to value add to the smallholders crop, and also how to achieve zero discharge in the rubber industry. Of course, membrane separation technology is pressure driven. The pressure driven are micro, ultra, nano, and reverse osmosis. The other things are not relevant at the moment. So why we use membrane separation? Because you don't need to heat. That means there are a lot of biochemical in the serum. You don't need to heat. It's only membrane. You separate using different pore size membrane. No phase change. There's no freezing and no evaporation. All that. The functional group exists as it is. It doesn't degrade. You can concentrate, you can fractionate, you can separate, you can even bring from serum to until drinking water. So these are basically my other two colleagues have done, already done. Juhana, Dr. Juhana and Mukhlis and Hafiz have already done, so I don't want to go. Okay, so basically the technology that we're going to use mostly in rubber industry is these three. Micro, ultra, nano, reverse osmosis, when we wanted to do more for purification of the pharmaceutical industry. And then the membrane configuration, of course, we have got hollow fiber, spiral wound, tubular, and submerged membrane. Submerged membrane can be either mostly hollow fiber, submerged membrane. And this spiral wound is more for desalination. For rubber industry, we use pressurized and then tubular, mostly tubular because it's pharmaceutical, it's an extraction of pharmaceutical raw material. So mostly tubular. And then for wastewater treatment, for water recycling, we use mostly hollow fiber and also submerged membrane. We'll come to it afterwards. So in the Malaysia Rubber Board has already done R&D on membrane separation for treated wastewater, especially for factory use, attain self-sufficiency in processed water for glove industry, and effluent treatment, and then to reduce BOD, COD, and of course, natural latex concentration. Also, we use membrane separation, and then cleaner processing, which will be our topic today. So, membrane separation utilization in the serum. See, these are the various stages that that has been used in rubber industry to recover biomaterial from raw serum. I already talked to you about the types of serum: pristine condition, coagulating, and then skim latex, and then wastewater treatment. All these serum will come in, of course, various type of serum. So we have to do the first stage, microfiltration. That means you remove all the suspended solid and all that using microfiltration, very coarse filtration. The retentate from here is biological sludge. Biological sludge, you can go for composting. So the microfiltered clarified serum will go into ultrafiltration. Ultrafiltration, normally we use about 5 kilodalton to 10 kilodalton. This is to separate serum into protein and sugar fraction. The protein fraction will go. Of course, some protein fractions still go as a permeate, and then we erase it in the nanofiltration. Whatever protein fraction which comes out goes back into the protein collected. So the nanofiltration basically takes away all the protein, because proteins have to be taken out, because some proteins, rubber proteins, are allergenic. So we take only the carbohydrate. This is sugar fraction. This sugar fraction, we purify, take away as much water as possible to concentrate. Then you have a sugar fraction, which go for dewatering, sugar paste, cubitrol extraction, and cubitrol is one of the most important, more valuable than rubber for making a lot of pharmaceutical product. 1 gram of cubitrol for $10 US. So you sell how many times the rubber? So this is more important. Of course, that is only cubitrol. Cubitrol also, before going cubitrol, even the sugar fraction of the serum also used a lot of in the pharmaceutical industry for making a facial cream and all that. The protein, you purify the protein, you get plant protein, you're fermenting, you get gibberellic acid. These are the area we need to explore further, any university, people want to do some kind of research into what happens when rubber protein fermented and the fermentation profile, you can profile it and you can find a lot of gibberellic acid is a very highly growth hormone actually. So plant protein, sugar, these are the most important extract from. So just quickly run through the pristine collection. Pristine collection is nothing much. You collect the latex without any adulteration. You do ultracentrifuge about 50,000 G. 50,000 is 50,000 times gravity. So you get the serum extracted into three portions. The C serum and this C serum has got pharmaceutical as a cancer curing ability, and B and C serum are very highly required in the pharmaceutical industry. And of course, this is the rubber which you can throw it out. So this high centrifuge, microcentrifuge, you can split the serum into this. So now let's look at the very pristine collected serum. Natural rubber latex extracts are becoming increasingly visible in the pharmaceutical theoretical research. Its anti-proliferating activity is a cancer cell. It has the ability to kill cancer actually. You can look at this paper published where it has been done in Thailand and also in Malaysia, how the B serum has been used in medical research. And some of it goes into skincare serum, whitening cream, cosmetic, and Prince Songkla University has been commercially extracting serum into making their own products from the rubber serum. And also you can Google, you can have so many types of facial cream is extracted from rubber. So the second part is the sterile collection. You collect the latex and you from the tree and you add acetic acid, food grade acid. You coagulate, you get coagulum, and you creep the coagulum. You get serum, and this is a slightly bit lower grade, but still you can extract a lot of pharmaceutical raw material. So in fact, here you can extract protein, and then you see this process utilizes membrane separation technique to achieve initial protein isolation. You can spray dry the protein into use as a plant protein. You can also find some of the this one, what do you call proteins which are very much useful. Let's look at it. These are the protein purification tuberculosis extraction pilot plant in Malaysian Rubber Board. We extract industrial protein and also cubital I mentioned to you earlier. So these are some of the amino acids extracted from the rubber serum, which is extracted from the second type, where you take the latex and you coagulate it using acetic acid. You can get this protein and purify the protein, and then you can extract. You can do a protein profiling. You can various type of some of the amino acids are useful, so you can also look at the paper published by my colleagues in Malaysian Rubber Board on what are the papers that is published in terms of extracting of proteins from the serum. So natural rubber recovery from raw rubber processing, wastewater. Okay, what to do with wastewater which is being which is discharged? Let's say this the earlier mentioned systematic collection. Now there are wastewater from the raw rubber process, RSS factory, creep rubber processing. You just don't need to do anything. You just collect the wastewater and you pass through the membrane upscaling plant, which I'm going to talk to you later. You can get various type of processes. You can get final serum, which can go for the extraction of the cubital and protein. The other thing is the most common of crop harvested by the smallholders, which is a kaplam. So we also devise value addition to the kaplam. That means you get a fresh kaplam, you extract the serum, and you can get the serum and go for the normal extraction. The other one is the don't care about what type of processing. You collect the wastewater, you do the normal treatment, remove the suspended solid and all that. You can still go for. So these are earlier work before I came. I started doing. There already some work done by some of the researchers. These are the papers published. You can refer. They are public domain. They have cubitrol extracted from the just wastewater from the rubber industry. Some of the wastewaters they collect and then paste. You make it into paste. You can convert it to fertilizer because there are a lot of ammonical nitrogen. Because raw rubber processing, they don't have toxic material there. It is ammonia and potassium and all that. So you no need to just discharge to the wastewater treatment system. You do membrane separation, and later I will talk to you about it. And then, in fact, some of these things has been tested. The paste that you get from removing all the water is NR. They add this as a paste into curing agents, especially when you make rubber products. You have to, for curing means you make into a vulcanization. You have to add some vulcanizing chemicals. Instead of adding the rubber vulcanizing chemical, you can add the rubber paste. That means the paste that you get when you remove all the non-rubbers from the wastewater, that you concentrate wastewater, it can be used. So refer to the papers that I mentioned into, you can ask, I already sent this thing, you can refer to this paper. Okay, system. Yeah.
The time is 2 minutes left.
Okay, the system design. Okay, how do we come to this system design? Because we did a lot of benchtop. We start out, we see this all kind of this thing. We see the various type, the serum there. How to extract serum? We went through the membrane system. We go from the benchtop model, semi-pilot plan, and pilot plan, upscaling, and then we also study, evaluate hydrodynamic condition, what type of membrane to use. So it doesn't come just in one day. So we did some upscale study. We also converted the membrane separation by centrifugation to membrane. We use we concentrate latex using membrane separation instead of centrifugation. We can also get a clean serum. In our field latex, we use membrane separation. You get serum by this way, and you get erased concentrate. The serum also goes for. These are the upscaling of the membrane system to concentrate field latex instead of going for centrifugation. And these are the pilot plan that we upscale using from to 1 ton to 10 ton. And these are advantage of having membrane separation against conventional membrane separation, ultrafiltration, concentration of latex. The concentrated latex go for glove making, and then the serum goes for cubitrol attraction. Finally, you get clean water. Whereas the conventional system, centrifugation, you get centrifuge latex, but you get skim latex, which you have to use skim latex by acid coagulation, you get wastewater treatment. So these are the two different. MSP can give you clean water, and this one you have to spend money. And these are a kind of schematic diagram. These are some of our work being copied by China, and the China come up with this. So we have made we already filed an infringement patent. So recovery of natural rubber serum, processing water. This is the most important thing I want to discuss with you all. We managed to take all the wastewater from any form of wastewater. We design a system of 2.5 ton per batch. We pass through. We have microfiltration, UF and RO. We can get all the proteins and all that I mentioned to you, and discharging clean water actually. From here, we extract serum. We pass through this. This is one of the type of work that we did. we sieved 2.5 meter cube of sieved kaplan serum. We goes to system 1, which is a micro, go into a microfiltration, will remove all these things, and then ultra will remove. System 2 is ultra protein and sugar. Sugar we can convert in sugar paste, and you can get all kind of. So zero waste scenario is possible using membrane separation. We just have to use the membrane separation with the proper membrane pore size. This is the last video I just explained to you. How is zero waste scenario possible in raw rubber processing with the use of membrane? Rubber tree give you latex. You don't go for centrifugation, use ultrafiltration. You can natural rubber latex concentrate, use serum pre-treat, and you get MF, UF, and RO. And then you get Kaplam, and then all the other kind of wastewater you can use. You take the serum from the raw rubber, serum purify, and again go to this thing. So you will get, in time to come, you will get wastewater. There is no wastewater at all. We won't be having problem in Gulf of Siam. A lot of wastewater being, there's a big problem in Palembang also, and Sri Lanka and all that. The wastewater need not have to be, with the use of membrane separation technology, you can extract all the products from the serum, and you get rubber, you get serum, you can extract all the biochemicals from the serum, you can discharge clean water. So all these things possible. The paradigm shift is required in rubber industry to use membrane separation technology to extract all the biochemicals and discharge clean water. So that's all. Sorry for taking extra time. I just wanted to, although I couldn't finish, the material that I supplied could be disseminated and people can look at it, and they want to do any R&D or they want to do some optimization of the system, they can always refer to me. I can act as a academic advisor for doing some work on the future work in the work that I've done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Veerasamy, for providing this very interesting presentation about membrane separation technology for extraction of value-added raw materials from natural rubber latex. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we are now moving on to the last speaker. For the first, before that, let me give an introduction about him. Mr. Bias Hilal Saga. He graduated from Institut Teknologi Kalimantan with Bachelor of Chemical Engineering, and then he started work in Institut Teknologi Kalimantan as a laboratory assistant, and then in 2019 he worked in PT Pertamina EP Tanjung as process engineer, and then until now he worked at PT Kurita Indonesia as site technician, and then he is qualified in ISO 9001 and then ISO 14001 and then ISO 45001. And then without any further ado, please welcome Mr. Saga. Time is yours.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, and thank you, Ms. Musharofah, as the moderator, and Vice Rector, Ms. Nurul, and also Mr. Purwanto. Thank you for inviting me to this webinar as a speaker, because actually this is my first time to become speaker in the webinar, and this is my pleasure to become speaker. And thank you to other speaker too and other audience who can hear. But first of all, I'm sorry because I will talk in Bahasa from now on to explain my presentation. Okay. Wait, hold on. Apakah terlihat?
Ya.
Oke, sebelum perkenalkan, nama saya Saga dari PT Kurita Indonesia, dan saya juga lulusan dari Institut Teknologi Kalimantan. Oke, because Mr. Pro just give me 20 minutes, so I will explain in a simple way. Oke, jadi untuk pertama, untuk proses membran sendiri saya akan menjelaskan secara general. Untuk proses membran sendiri ialah secara harfiah kita menggunakan membran semi permeable untuk mengalirkan feed water yang telah terkontaminasi yang nantinya akan menghasilkan air murni di sisi lain membran, atau secara kita bisa bilang secara simpelnya proses penyaringan seperti itu. Adapun desalinasi membran ini bisa diklasifikasikan terhadap gaya tekan atau driving force. Bisa kita lihat tabel di bawah ada 4 jenis filtrasi yang berbeda, ada mikrofiltrasi, ultrafiltrasi, nanofiltrasi, dan juga reverse osmosis. Di sini terlihat berbeda-beda driving force-nya, dan juga yang utama yaitu di bagian size pori-pori membrannya. Untuk mikrofiltrasi bisa kita lihat ada di 0,1 sampai 10 mikrons molekul, hingga reverse osmosis dengan pori terkecil di antara yang lain sekitar kurang dari 1 mikrons molekul dengan pressure difference dari 10 hingga 60 bar. Ini bisa kita kategorikan dengan cukup high pressure ya untuk desalinasi air. Selanjutnya di bagian ini kita bisa lihat spektrum filtrasi atau kemampuan penyaringan untuk masing-masing membran dari mikrofiltrasi, ultrafiltrasi, nanofiltrasi, dan reverse osmosis. Kita bisa lihat untuk membran reverse osmosis sendiri bisa menyaring sekitar 98% lebih ion terlarut, dan juga hardness atau kalsium, magnesium, dan sebagainya sekitar 99,5% lebih penyaringan yang bisa dilakukan. Untuk hardness sendiri, user-user di pabrik itu cukup concern karena jika pabrik tersebut sudah ingin menggunakan RO, target dari mereka harusnya keluaran atau permeat hasil produk penyaringan itu sudah bisa dipastikan hardness-nya trace atau tidak ada kandungan hardness sama sekali. Selanjutnya di bagian sodium chloride itu bisa dikurangkan hingga 98% lebih. Bahkan untuk organik terlarut bisa dihilangkan 98% lebih, dan koloid hingga bakteri dan mikroorganisme juga bisa disaring oleh RO ini. Oke, kita masuk ke lebih spesifik lagi untuk membran reverse osmosis. Seperti kita tahu ada namanya peristiwa osmosis di mana solvent ini akan berpindah melalui membran semi permeable menuju larutan yang concentrate yang lebih pekat. Nah, untuk kasus kali ini karena kita ingin mendapatkan air yang lebih murni, jadi kita memasukkan air dengan konsentrat tinggi, air yang pekat, kita paksa lewat membran semi permeable yang nantinya akan menghasilkan fresh water atau air yang sudah siap digunakan. Tentunya dengan tambahan external pressure. Selanjutnya bisa kita lihat untuk mekanisme ini salah satu contoh RO yang cukup pasaran, cukup banyak digunakan oleh pabrik-pabrik sekitar, bentuk spiral wound. Jadi feed yang dimasukkan melalui luar tabung sini, yang nantinya akan dipaksa melewati berbagai macam layer membran yang terdapat di dalam tabung, yang nantinya akan bermuara di ada tube kecil di bagian dalam RO itu, yang kita bisa bilang itu adalah produk tube, hasil dari penyaringan. Nanti produk tube ini akan dialirkan menuju aliran permeat. Sedangkan produk yang tidak kita inginkan akan dialirkan menuju reject. Oke. Parameter-parameter operasi pada RO. Jadi ada beberapa parameter yang sangat fokuskan kepada user-user pengguna RO. Yang pertama ada recovery. Jadi recovery ini adalah seberapa banyak persentase permet yang dihasilkan dibandingkan dengan feed masuk. Jadi semisal kita memiliki 100 GPM feed air kontaminan, ternyata dihasilkan 75 GPM permeat, itu berarti kita bisa mendapat recovery sekitar 75%. Sedangkan rejection sendiri adalah kebalikan dari recovery. Sehingga jika kita mendapatkan 75% hasil dari penyaringan, maka rejection adalah produk yang tidak diinginkan, sekitar 25% dari feed masuk tersebut. Sedangkan passage sendiri adalah mineral-mineral yang berhasil lolos dari proses penyaringan. Kita bisa tahu seberapa banyak mineral yang bisa lolos itu indikasinya dari AC dari permeat itu sendiri atau electrical conductivitas. Itu berbanding lurus dengan TDS, total dissolved solid. Yang selanjutnya ada permeat. Kalau tadi recovery adalah kuantitas dari permeat itu sendiri, sedangkan permeat yang di sini adalah kualitas dari permeat itu sendiri. Jadi kita bisa mengambil sampel untuk menganalisa bagaimana kualitas apa saja yang pengotor-pengotor apa saja yang masih terendapkan di permeat tersebut. Biasanya RO ini sendiri punya target EC-nya sekitar di bawah dari 10 mikrosiemens per sentimeter. Dan juga selanjutnya ada flow, yakni flow yang dapat dimasukkan ke dalam RO sistem itu sendiri. Selanjutnya ada permasalahan pada RO di lapangan. Jadi untuk permasalahan ini sendiri ada dua permasalahan utama yang biasa dijumpai di lapangan. Yang pertama ada fouling, yang kedua ada membran yang sudah rusak. Seperti kita lihat di gambar ini, ada membran RO sebagai penghalang, akan kita masukkan feed water yang telah terkontaminasi, yang nantinya mineral-mineral yang tidak dibutuhkan seperti natrium, kalsium, dan klorida itu akan tertahan di membran RO tersebut. Dan yang bisa melewati hanya H2O murni. Itu target kita. Contoh kalau permasalahan pertama ya, ini adalah fouling. Jadi fouling itu apa? Fouling itu padatan-padatan yang terbentuk dari pengotor-pengotor yang telah disaring. Nah, dengan adanya fouling ini, dia menutup adanya jalur-jalur membran itu sendiri. Karena dia menutup jalur membran, akibatnya turunnya kuantitas permeat yang bisa kita hasilkan. Dan juga dengan adanya fouling ini bisa adanya perubahan tekanan di sana pada saat kondisi operasional, pada saat RO ini running normal. Nah, untuk fouling sendiri biasanya kita bagi menjadi dua. Ada fouling yang memblokade jalur masuk, dan ada juga fouling yang menutupi permukaan membran. Apa saja yang bisa faktor-faktor yang bisa menyebabkan fouling? Sebenarnya ada 4 kategori utama. Yang pertama, deposit pada air atau kita bisa bilang endapan. Biasanya masih ada sedikit kandungan endapan pada air. Yang kedua ada kolloid atau secara umum kita bisa katakan itu lumpur. Yang ketiga ada natural organic matter seperti minyak atau polimer. Dan yang terakhir ada biological matter seperti bakteri, slime, dan alga. Untuk permasalahan kedua yang sering kita temui yakni membran yang rusak. Jadi yang harusnya membran mempunyai pori-pori yang kecil untuk penyaringan kadar mineral yang terkandung dalam air, justru menjadi tidak efektif karena pori tersebut membesar karena adanya lubang-lubang baru. Dengan rusaknya membran permukaan membran ini, sudah kita bisa pastikan kualitas dari permeat akan memburuk karena yang awalnya kita bisa menahan kontaminan yang tidak perlu, malah justru terikut menjadi produk permeat nantinya. Nah, ini sangat-sangat dihindarkan ketika kita mencoba untuk menghasilkan air yang bersih sesuai dengan standar yang kita butuhkan. Untuk rusaknya membran sendiri ada 2 faktor utama, bisa secara fisik maupun secara kimiawi. untuk secara fisik bisa diakibatkan karena adanya partikel-partikel keras yang bisa masuk melalui feed water dan juga adanya back pressure yang tinggi pada permeat. Jadi kita berikan pressure dari permeat sendiri bisa ada kemungkinan untuk memberikan pressure tersebut. Jadi ada kembalian pressure itu. Selanjutnya ada kerusakan secara kimiawi, bisa secara solvent atau hidrokarbon yang masuk dalam feed water. Dan salah satu momok menakutkan untuk para pengguna RO sistem di desalinasi adalah free chlorine yang berlebih. Jadi free chlorine ini sangat berbahaya untuk membran. 1 ppm saja bisa merusak membran dalam waktu 200 hingga 1000 jam atau sekitar 8 sampai 30 hari. Ini cukup cepat untuk kondisi operasional, jadi cukup merugikan untuk biaya operasionalnya. Nah, perlu kita tahu bukan berarti kita menggunakan RO langsung kita masukkan sampel yang kotor yang masih berbentuk secara visualnya buruk, secara visual mungkin turbidity lebih dari 100 NTU, FTU, tetapi masih ada serangkaian pengolahan air sebelum kita masukkan air tersebut ke dalam sistem RO. Biasanya yang saya temukan itu pabrik-pabrik menggunakan ada clarifier untuk proses koagulasi flokkulasi. Yang kedua ada dilanjutkan ke MMF, multimedia filter. Terus yang ketiga ada UF, ultrafiltrasi, dan terakhir ada RO. Tujuannya agar RO di sini tidak bekerja terlalu berat. Jadi untuk sementara kita harus mencoba memperbaiki kualitas air yang ingin kita injek ke dalam RO. Nah, biasanya di clarifier itu akan diinjek 4 chemical utama. Yang pertama ada PAC sebagai koagulan dan polimer sebagai flokulan. Nah, setelah terjadi proses koagulan dan koagulasi dan flokulasi, biasanya terjadi penurunan pH sehingga kita perlukan kaustik untuk mengadjust pH kembali ke normal. Dan chemical terakhir yang kita injek biasanya adalah biocide. Nah, biocide ini secara pasarannya kita bisa sebut kaporit. Nah, kaporit ini sendiri mengandung klorin bebas, yang ini cukup berbahaya untuk membran. Jadi kita bisa menggunakan kaporit ini sebagai dengan komposisi utama klorin sebagai biocide atau untuk membunuh mikroorganisme yang terkandung dalam air. Tetapi di sisi lain ini juga bisa menjadi pedang bermata dua, bisa kita juga kena di masalah RO. Nah, biasanya untuk pabrik-pabrik yang menggunakan kaporit sebagai biocide, biasanya mereka menambahkan SBS atau sodium disulfide sebagai penetralnya dengan beberapa ketentuan. Biasanya SBS itu diinjeksikan sebelum masuknya RO, sehingga air yang masuknya RO itu sudah benar-benar free dari free chloride. Dan juga ada perbandingan ppm yang bisa dimasukkan. Semisal dalam air tersebut kita masukkan 4 ppm kaporit atau klorin, ternyata kita hanya membutuhkan 2 untuk mematikan 2 ppm untuk mematikan mikroorganisme yang terkandung. Itu berarti masih ada sisa 2 ppm ya yang bebas. Jadi kita di sini tidak ingin 2 ppm klorin ini akan masuk ke dalam RO karena itu akan berakibat fatal. Maka dari itu kita menggunakan SPS untuk penetralan. Nah, untuk penetralan ini sendiri biasanya ada rasionya antara 2 sampai 3 kali. Sehingga kalau ada 2 ppm free chlorine, kita harus menginjeksikan 4 sampai 6 ppm SPS sebagai penetralan. Karena itu cukup berisiko tapi kita bisa menanganinya. Selanjutnya untuk 2 masalah di atas, ketika kita sudah memiliki membran yang rusak, mau tidak mau kita memang harus mengganti membran tersebut karena kita tidak bisa melakukan apa-apa lagi. Sedangkan kalau terbentuk permasalahan fouling, kita masih bisa mengupayakan dengan cara membran cleaning. Di sini tujuan dari membran cleaning sendiri, kita bisa menghilangkan impurities menggunakan bahan kimia. Dan juga kita bisa melarutkan sebagian besar material yang terpresipitasi Dan terakhir kita juga bisa menghilangkan material dari permukaan membran tanpa ada kerusakan tentunya, hasil dari penyaringan itu sendiri. Nah, dari membran cleaning sendiri terbagi menjadi dua, ada cleaning in place dan cleaning out place, jadi CIP dan COP. Normalnya yang orang-orang gunakan yakni yang CIP karena cukup tidak memakan tenaga, kita hanya menginjeksikan chemical, kita tunggu lalu kita bilas seperti itu. Nah, untuk waktunya kapan saja kita diharuskan untuk melakukan cleaning. Jadi ada 3 kondisi utama, 3 indikasi utama. Yang pertama, menurunnya kualitas permeat. Jadi ada indikasi dari EC-nya itu sendiri atau electric conductivity yang tadi saya bilang EC ini berbanding lurus dengan TDS, yang mana jika EC dan TDS naik berarti ada anomali dalam RO sistem tersebut. Maka kita harus bisa mengakalinya dengan melakukan CIP. Yang kedua, meningkatnya pressure drop. Jadi biasanya ada panel di situ yang menunjukkan pressure di dalam RO itu sendiri. Kalau pressure tersebut tidak sesuai, kita sudah bisa mengetahui adanya indikasi anomali. Dan yang terakhir, ada juga menurunnya flow dari permeat. Karena adanya falling yang terbentuk, sudah pasti permeat yang harusnya kita bisa dapat 75 GPM, malah menjadi turun 70 GPM, bahkan 65 GPM. Itu sangat merugikan untuk kondisi operasional. Nah, untuk frekuensinya sendiri, biasanya kita menyarankan untuk dilakukan CIP atau cleaning itu sekitar 3-6 bulan sekali, atau sekitar 2-3 kali dalam 1 tahun. Itu sudah cukup untuk menambah lifetime